미소에 난 취한 것 같아 자꾸만 웃음이 나 어린아이 장난 같아.
Friends, it is time we have a little heart-to-heart, a little catch-up moment. So grab your tea, grab your coffee, grab your dinner, your snack, and let's catch up. If you've been following along, then you probably already know it is official. I bought a house. And in this video, I'm gonna go over where I am in the process, kind of how I came to where I am with my decision making. And I'm also gonna be showing you what the house looks like so far. But first, if you're new here, my name is Selena. I'm 27 years old and I'm currently sharing my first time home buyer process, buying a house by myself in my 20s. If you're interested in that sort of thing, and if you haven't already, consider subscribing. If you're super new here, make sure to go watch the first 2 house hunting videos that I have on my channel. I have a whole playlist called like First Home Diaries, and I'm going to be sharing the entire process. I already started. I showed y'all all the little house tours and all of that, so it's been really fun. So the moment of truth. After seeing so many houses, I think I saw 30 plus houses, I just came to the realization, like I mentioned in my last video, that there aren't a ton of used houses out there. I have been waiting and saving up to buy a house for a couple of years now. Like none of this was just rushed last minute. I've always been like looking online and everything, and I felt like I knew at this point what I wanted to buy. So I don't think that I clearly said in my previous video kind of what I for sure was looking for in a house. So this is what I was looking for in a house. For one, I wanted there to be lots of lighting. I wanted a newer house or a newer build, and I wanted a 3-bedroom, at least 2-bathroom home that was spacious. I was okay with not having a backyard. I was okay with not having a driveway because I ended up going with new construction, and you don't really get any of those things for under 500,000 or under 600,000, to be honest. It's wild, the prices are crazy. So I decided on this house back in the end of July. So I'm really catching y'all up because I was debating if I should wait to share my entire journey until it's all said and done. And my house was set to be completed by mid-October. So it's currently September, so there's less than a month until the day of closing. It's been quite a journey, I will say. Buying a new build, I was very weary from the beginning just because I've seen a lot of kind of horror stories online of people having terrible things to say about new construction homes. But then I've also seen other YouTubers and people buy new construction homes. So I just decided to do my own research and ended up with this new construction home from this reputable construction company, or this reputable new build company that is really well known. A lot of people go with these houses, so I figured, I mean, they can't be that bad. And if you look at like the Better Business Bureau, which I recommend doing your own research if you're looking at new construction homes, people have a lot to say and it's pretty negative. So I made sure to talk to friends who've bought from them. I also made sure to go and interview the neighbors, and after interviewing my potential neighbors, that would literally be my neighbors for the house that I chose, they all had really good things to say. They did encounter some issues because, I mean, houses are built by humans, not robots, so there's always going to be issues. It doesn't matter if you buy a new construction or if you buy a used house, there's always going to be an issue that arises. But the difference between a new build and a used home is just that with the new build, at least you have that construction company there that can go in and get their contractors to fix whatever cosmetic issues or functional issues there might be in the house. Whereas with a used house, you don't really get those contingencies. So that's kind of like a pro of buying new, in addition to obviously everything being new, so you don't have to worry about replacing your water heater or your furnace or anything like that, which is something that I did not want to worry about. This was like my mindset. I was so set on buying a new house or a newer house, and so that's how I ended up here. So after doing my research on this new build, on this neighborhood, this was like the house that I wanted. So first I was in this huge dilemma because there was this neighborhood that I just loved. And all of this is in the Portland metro area. It was a newer community. There's going to be tons of parks and playgrounds, and there's also like an urgent care and a gym. There's going to be a whole town center that's going to be built, and I was set on buying a house, a new build house in that neighborhood because it was so nice and sparkly, and it was going to have everything within walking distance. But after further assessing what kinds of houses were even in my budget in that community, it just felt like that was not the best choice for me. So I actually didn't end up going with that house, and I ended up going and looking at houses that were kind of in the middle of nowhere. This was always my plan B community to look at, but after seeing so many used houses, I just ended up going back to this community. So this community, I'm able to get this larger house that's like almost 2,000 square feet, or actually pretty much 2,000 square feet, and it's under the price range of what I was looking at before. I'm not gonna say the exact price because I don't think I feel totally comfortable putting all of my like financials out there, but you guys saw like the price ranges I was looking at. So this house is like a nice in the middle price, and also the HOA is only like $80 a month, which is great. I feel pretty good about this house. I went in to see the house a couple of times. From the very beginning, I want to give a disclaimer that I'm not sharing my experience to like bash this new build company or anything, because I truly think that it was me who was starting to notice that there were things that I maybe was unsure of. And I'll clarify that, but I just wanted to give this disclaimer that it was more so things I was noticing, and in my decision-making process that kind of changed throughout time. And that was one thing I wanted to touch in this video, is that it's been so hard to like share weekly updates with you all, because literally throughout the entire home buying process, there were stages. Like in the first stage of me looking for a house, I was set on being open-minded. So I looked at a bunch of houses, townhomes. Then I kind of decided, I don't really want to share a wall with someone. I at least want to have my own wall that is separate, like a single family home. So I came to that conclusion. Then the third stage was me deciding these used houses are not it. They cost the same as the new builds, except I'll have to replace a bunch of things and they're gonna cost me a lot more, and a lot of them needed a lot of remodeling because people are selling everything as is. Like people are not even trying to like remodel or clean up their houses, like they're just selling them as they are because people are buying them. So that was the third stage. I came to that conclusion. And so now I'm like in this fourth stage where I've decided I have to compromise. I'm not gonna get a backyard. I'm not gonna get a nice front yard. I'm only gonna get a nicer house, but at least it's spacious, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, in a good community. The neighbors seem nice. I actually met one of the neighbors that would be my neighbors. I talked to my friends who bought from this new build. So I was feeling good. I was in stage 4, you know, in the final kind of decision-making process. All I had to do was decide which new build house I liked, and I did, and I found one that had the white cabinets, the white countertops, like everything. So I want to clarify, because a lot of you said you were excited to see like what I choose for my house. I did not choose to buy my house from the ground up. I pretty much chose a house that still had 2 to 3 months left until it was fully constructed. So that means everything was already chosen by the builder. So I pretty much had no say in anything at that point. So I've learned a lot throughout the process. When I went in to tour those houses, I pretty much had to make a decision. So one thing I will say I don't like about new build, not even new builds, but just the whole selling and negotiation part of buying a house. It was very clear that I was a first-time home buyer, and I don't know if that's why there was a lot of pressure added, or if it was just this like person. From the very beginning, there was just so much pressure for me to make the decision on which house I wanted after I toured them. Like the seller's agent really wanted me to make a decision within 24 hours, and they wanted me to sign these documents within 24 hours, or else they pretty much made it seem like someone else would take it off the market. And so there was a lot of pressure from day one, but I really liked this house. And this house was, I think you all guessed it in my last video, the house that I chose. I really loved the layout. I looked a lot at the virtual tour because the house itself wasn't fully built yet. So that's the hard thing too. And that's another thing I don't really love about the whole new build process, is that you really don't know what your house will fully look like, how the lighting will be, etc., until it's built. And at that point, you've already pretty much paid for the house. So that's like one con of just new construction homes in general, not like this company in particular. During this process, I came to the realization of certain things that I didn't like. In addition to that, when you buy a new build home, it's very different from buying from another person, like a used home, because any contracts or negotiations, like first of all, there's no negotiating the price. There's no negotiating absolutely anything with a new construction home. Like whatever they're offering, if there's any incentives, that is it. Like that's it, at least with the builder that I went with, and at least where I am. I know I have a couple of friends who bought from this same builder in Virginia, and they said they were able to negotiate some more closing costs or something. So there are instances where it's possible, But I will say, and my agent even told me, just in general, if the contract says they're offering this set price, like a house is going for 500,000, that's the price. Like there's no negotiating. It would have to really be like a market where there's a ton of houses and a ton of supply, and we're not in that market. So I felt a lot of pressure during this time. I really wanted this house, but I felt like I didn't even have time to process it because I had to sign. And not only did I have to sign, I had to give 1% earnest money, which is a lot because for a $500,000 house, that's literally $5,000. You have to do that. And the thing that I also want to share with you all that I learned from my experience is if you buy a new build home, and again, if you're pressured the way that I kind of felt pressured, you have to make that decision, but you also have to be 1,000% sure because there's no backing out. Like once you sign the documents, once you pay your earnest money, there's absolutely no way to get your money back. The contract is pretty much always written for the builder, and it depends on what builder you go with because, you know, they all have their own contracts. But for the most part, in general, if you buy a new construction home, the contract is 100% going to be written in the favor of the builder, not in your favor. Like there's no protections or contingencies usually for the buyer. And that's a scary thing. And that's something that, again, as a first-time home buyer, I didn't even fully know what that meant. I mean, I knew going in, so like I'm not blaming anyone else, but it's the fact that like you don't know till you know what I mean? And there's like the pressure because of the timeline, and it's so wild to me that you have to make a decision and like put money down on a house that's not even built, that you really fully don't know like the specs, like how everything's gonna come together until it's built. You have to pretty much call dibs on it and already start the process of buying it. To me, that's just a little bit like wild. I know people do it across the country, but anyway, I was learning everything as I was living through it, which is why I'm sharing it with y'all so you can hopefully learn from my experience and make your own decision. So at this point, I signed the document, I paid my earnest money, and I was locked in. And I logically in my mind, I was like, okay, Selena, stop looking at houses. Like just delete Redfin, delete Zillow. That way, out of sight, out of mind. And at this point, it was just a waiting game, which is why I wasn't really sharing any updates on YouTube. So I'm gonna insert some footage because I did go visit it. This is a part where there were just more things that I was realizing throughout this experience. For example, one thing that is commonly said that I think was also true in my experience is that, I don't know, there was almost like a shift. Like after I paid the earnest money and I was locked in, it seemed like the customer service was just not there so much, or maybe not the customer service, but the communication. And apparently reviews that I've seen online mention that a lot, probably because, you know, there's only so many sellers agent for these companies, and they have to be like scouting new people and helping new people who want to buy houses. So it's probably really hard to manage. And I think if anything, you know, these new build companies probably need to have more people on their team so that they're not stretched so thin. But I will say they had told me initially that I could go in and see the house whenever I wanted. I didn't want to be that annoying buyer who's like trying to come by every 2 days, you know, to see the house and to get in the way of construction work. It's like, I didn't want to be that person. But I did want to be smart and I did want to be involved. And I did want to, you know, go in and see the house like once every 3 to 4 weeks because there's only a couple months left until the house is built. So I had emailed people from this company and I requested an appointment ahead of time, like a week in advance. We agreed on a date and I show up. I was kind of ghosted. There was nobody to open the door for me. They told me to come on a Sunday and then nobody was there. They apologized, so it wasn't like a huge deal, but I just started feeling a little bit uneasy. And then there was a second time where this happened, where again, I set up the appointment and we're getting closer to the closing date. We're about like a month away at this point, a month and a half. My whole family was here from out of town and we were all camping, and my mom was gonna stay with them until the very end. I was gonna leave on Sunday, and my mom left a day early to go with me to this appointment to see the house because I had set it up a week in advance again, and you know, I was excited. I wanted her to go with me. I was also supposed to meet with someone from construction so that they could answer my questions because I had seen a couple of things just from the outside that I had questions about. I'm like, hey, can y'all fix this? Like, why do my bricks look like this? They don't look as nice as my neighbor's bricks, and like the exterior paint job did not look like it was done very well. But from what I was told, I think these were things that would have been fixed in the last week before closing if I asked. I mean, technically they're supposed to get fixed, like cosmetic things, but I'm not at that point yet, so I'm not sure. Anyway, so this meeting was supposed to be a one-on-one, you know, 15 to 30 minutes talking to this construction guy. I set it up a week in advance again. My mom and I came home early from camping, and again, we show up and nobody's there. We did get to go inside because it was during work hours, so the construction team was there, so the house was unlocked. So we did walk around. I think I did take videos, so that's what I'm kind of showing on screen. I did notice a couple of things. It seemed like there was water damage in one of the closets, and I just noticed like little dents and stuff, and cracks and things in the house, and also like outside of the house. Again, there were things that just looked like, I don't know, I don't want to say it was poorly done. I don't think it was poorly done, but again, houses are made by humans, not robots. So there were just things that I had questions about, like as a first-time home buyer, also as someone who's like paying so much money for this house to be made. And then them ghosting me 2 times just kind of felt like, how am I just was feeling uneasy about this. So even though I love the house, I actually ended up deciding to just see what else is out there, even though, again, there's no way of getting my earnest money back. So I reached this next stage, stage 5, I guess, of the home buying process, where I already had a house that I am buying and still decided to go look at used houses and what's out there. And I started to notice that even though it was only a month later, there was all these different houses on the market that were not on the market before, and they were actually really nice, and just for like $20,000 or $30,000 more, or even around the same price. These used houses would allow me to have more land. Like I would actually have a backyard and a front yard and a driveway. And I just started to notice my priorities changing, because one thing that I did feel like I was compromising a lot in this new build house was the land, but not only that, the location. So this location that I chose, it's not even up and coming. It's like a small town, kind of in the middle of nowhere, really close to a highway, so it had really good access to everything. So I felt really good about that. I knew it would be a great long-term investment, and I still think it's a great community. Like I would 100% recommend other people to buy there. But I think for myself, I started to feel a little bit uneasy about my purchase, because there's nothing for me to do. There's nothing walking distance. Like there were no cafes, there's not even a grocery store in town. Like there's like a little mart, but not a grocery store. So I started feeling a little bit uneasy from just the whole situation with the ghosting, the location not being in a great location. And after talking to my mentor and just talking it out like with myself and with my partner, letting him know like my uneasiness, I just came to the realization that, well, my mentor pointed out actually, you know, you can change pretty much anything about a house except for the location. Like the location is gonna be where it's at forever. And so I felt like I was really compromising with the location, because I was gonna be a lot further out from central Portland and Beaverton, which is like where I like to spend time, because I don't know, it's like nice, there's a lot of stores, it's still really close to nature, but like there's more diversity too in the areas that I like to go hang out and eat and stuff. So I just felt like in my 20s, I do kind of care about location, like I'm not gonna lie. And so I went and looked at more used houses, and I'm gonna share those tours in the next video, because ultimately, even though I did buy a house, I decided to keep looking just to see if I was happy about my decision to purchase this house. And like I said, I had reasons why I was feeling a little bit uneasy about my decision. Another thing that made me feel uneasy was actually the day where we went to go look at the house itself. So when we went to look at the house, I had gone a ton of times just to see the exterior, like not the interior, but the day where I was supposed to meet with the construction worker, again, beautiful house. For one, I didn't love the lighting, which one of the reasons I chose this house was because of how many windows it had. The fact that the houses are so close together, and they're 2-story houses, so even though it had so many windows, not a ton of light was coming in. And this was in the summer, like when it was as bright as could be, and it felt a little bit dark, at least on the first floor, because all you could see is just the walls of your neighbors, and it was so close. And that was something that kept nagging at me since like the first 2 weeks after I had bought it, because I was just thinking about it and I'm like, no, Selena, like don't let other people get to you. But then I realized like, okay, nobody's telling me this and I'm still feeling this way. I didn't like the lighting, like I said. The second floor had great lighting, beautiful. I loved the little loft area. I loved that I would have a master and a master bath and a master closet. Like, it was so nice. But I think not having the sunlight and all the other things just made me feel uneasy. So I decided to go look at used houses in locations that I liked. And at this point, I think I wanted to see, am I sure? Am I 100% sure? Because truthfully, in my eyes, if I was sure about this house, even if I went and saw other used houses, I think I would be like, no, these aren't for me. So I needed that like affirmation. So I went and looked at other houses, and to me, it's not like I saw these other houses and I was like, oh my gosh, no, this is the house. But what I did notice was that my priorities, even though it had only been a couple of months since I first started looking at houses, my priorities had completely changed. Like, I thought I was okay with not having a backyard, but then seeing the backyards and just having the open space, privacy to myself, it just felt like I needed that space to have a place to grow into. The side yards on these new builds nowadays, it's actually just laughable. I mean, again, it would be great and it would still be an upgrade for me, but I think what got me was the fact that there was no backyard, no driveway, and the lighting wasn't great because of how close the houses were together. And we're in Oregon. Like, you need as much natural light to get into the house as possible, or at least it should feel cozy. And that house just felt really cool and like kind of dark downstairs. And that was one of the main things that I was looking for, was a well-lit house that felt like homey. So anyway, after seeing the used houses, I felt like I actually did want a backyard and I did want a driveway, and I started to feel like I made the wrong decision with the new built home. So that's kind of where we are now. This is crazy because yes, this is supposed to be an announcement, but just so much has happened since the last time that I talked to y'all. And yes, I could be one of those YouTubers who like makes a video announcing I bought a house and then the next video announcing I backed out of the house. But that's not me. Like, I just want to share my life with you all, and this is what's happened. I bought a house and then my priorities changed and now I backed out of the house. And even though I backed out, I did not get my money back, which is scary. And it's a privilege to even be able to do that, because I would say, you know, 99% of people don't just have the privilege to just let go of, you know, a couple $1,000s. I want to say thank you for just supporting and allowing me to have this like secondary income. So thank you all so much for supporting me, and I do recognize 100% that it's a privilege to even be able to look at houses in these price ranges and look for houses at all in my 20s. I also do want to disclaim that I have worked really, really hard, and I essentially work 2 jobs. So it's not like super easy money either, because I do still have like my 9 to 5 and do work hard to create content for you all, because I love our community and what we have going here. So I don't want to discount my hard work either, but it is a privilege at the same time. In addition to that, even though I did lose out on that money, which is hard regardless, it was still a freaking hard decision to make. I was really stressed out, and that was honestly part of the reason I haven't really been vlogging or filming, because who wants to film during such a stressful time where I already have anxiety and mental health issues, and then on top of that I had all this stress from this decision, this huge decision that I had to make. And on top of that, you know, I get comments daily from people, unfortunately negative comments that I read, and that adds to my stress and anxiety. And you know, it's because people like you all didn't know what was going on behind the scenes, and it's a lot. Like, there's a lot. And I want to share my experience, because if you're like me, like, I don't want you to let anyone ever make you feel pressured to sign anything. But not only that, I was really happy with the house and my priorities changed. So another little nugget that I learned from this is that in buying a house, there is a cost to the business of it all, you know. And at the end of it, the goal is for you to end up in a house that you love, that you can grow into, that you see yourself living in for 5, 10, 20 years, or even if you see it as an investment, that you could see yourself flourishing there for however many years and then renting it out. And location, unfortunately, does matter a lot, and what's around that house matters a lot if you ever want to rent it out. And those were all things that I thought about as well. And I just want to share this with you all, because hopefully you can also learn and benefit from my experience, and maybe even avoid doing some of the things that I did, that I learned the hard way. Anyway, I did back out of the house, lost that money, and have been looking at other houses. So in the next video, I will be sharing some more house tours with you all and another huge update, but you're gonna have to wait for the next video for that, because I feel like this is already a really long video. But you're pretty much much caught up to where I am now. We're going on house tours, we're looking at other used houses and what's out there. But as you can see, it's been a lot. So anyway, I'm sorry that this video is kind of all over the place. But if you did benefit from this or learn anything, or if you have any comments or constructive criticism, please leave a comment down below. Make sure to like this video if you're enjoying my first time home buyer series or diaries here on YouTube. And make sure to subscribe and turn on all your notifications so you don't miss my future videos and updates. But with all that said, I love you all so much and I hope to see you all in the next video.